Anna Lux thought her silence was her defense. Stanley P. proved it was his deadliest asset. Experience the story where a mafia boss unleashes total devastation because one quiet woman was violated. The price wasn't just blood, it was the ruin of a city. Read, who did this to you? Asked the mafia boss, where the vengeance is absolute, the protection is eternal, and the keeper of the most devastating truth becomes the most terrifying queen in the city. Sit back and relax now, and witness the silent librarian become his obsession. My life is measured in the silence between the pages. Anna Lux moved through the vast, vaulted library of Stanley P.'s estate like a breath, a necessary fixture in the boss's carefully curated world who was nonetheless designed to be unseen. Her hands moved over first editions and arcane maps, dusting spines with a meticulous, almost ritualistic care. The air was heavy with the scent of aged leather and the cold, lingering aroma of Cuban cigar smoke from the boss's late-night meetings. She tracked Stanley P.'s movements, the measured cadence of his expensive shoes, the faint metallic glint of the rings on his powerful hands, and knew to retreat into the shadows of the highest shelves. Her existence was one of perfect, strategic silence. The only thing that truly matters is the secret she carries, the precise code and location of a crucial, hidden ledger, a decade-old document that could expose Stanley P. and collapse his entire empire. She holds this knowledge not out of loyalty to the man, but as a silent, crushing burden entrusted to her by a lost loved one. This secret is her life's true work, forcing her to live in constant, self-imposed isolation, guarding the powerful, dangerous truth that could save or destroy them all. The night the attack occurred, the city was draped in a cold, late autumn mist. Anna kept her head down, her mind already cataloging the next day's tasks. The ambush was swift, precise, and unsettlingly quiet. Before she could scream, a heavy, leather-gloved hand clamped over her mouth. They didn't demand her bag, they ignored her body entirely. One operative held her steady while the other produced a hypodermic needle, gleaming chrome and surgical steel, and plunged it into her forearm with professional speed. A second man activated a small device that emitted a blinding, deafening white flash. As the world swam, Anna heard one of them confirm, in a low, toneless whisper, "Code extracted. Location secured. The ledger is ours." They vanished as quickly as they appeared, leaving Anna kneeling on the cold sidewalk, her body untouched, but her mind a screaming, empty void where the crucial secret used to reside. Anna managed to crawl back to the library, the only place she understood. The terror was unlike anything she had ever experienced. There was no blood, no broken bones, but her carefully ordered internal landscape was rubble. She sat amidst the dark wood shelves and wept, silent and soundless. She tried to recall the ledger's code, but the information was simply gone, replaced by a confusing blur of white light and dull, aching confusion. She was the keeper of the most powerful secret in the city, and she couldn't remember it. Her meticulous system, her refuge, became her enemy. The realization that the silencers hadn't wanted her death, only her knowledge, was a psychological blow. Her mind had been violated. The air in the library, usually sterile and predictable, felt charged when Stanley P. entered. He didn't look angry, he looked like a man who had found a sudden, fatal flaw in the bedrock beneath his empire. He surveyed the perfect disorder, a single page turned down, a book misplaced, before his gaze snapped to Anna. "Anna," he said, and the use of her name, full and direct, was a shock. "The order here is compromised." He stepped closer, his eyes scanning her face, not for bruises, but for the subtle tremors in her hands. He saw the profound psychic fracture. There are no marks. No visible violence. This wasn't theft, he concluded, his voice dropping to a near whisper that was colder than steel. It was extraction. "Who violated my property, Anna? Who did this to you?" The question was one of proprietary rage, the most expensive, devastating intelligence breach possible. Stanley's reaction was instantaneous and terrifyingly cold. He ushered Anna from the library to his inner office, a stark room with thick, noise-canceling walls, and summoned Luca, his chief of security. Luca confirmed the symptoms of psychotropic violation, the hallmark of the Chicago Syndicate's intelligence cell, the silencers. Stanley walked the length of his office. "They did not just compromise her, Luca. They attacked the one inviolable space in my entire operation, the library, the symbol of my control. Stanley issued a series of chilling commands: a citywide lockdown, the mobilization of every loyal asset, the total and immediate surveillance of every known Chicago affiliate. "Tell the city to close its eyes," he ordered. "Because Anna Lux's violation is an attack on the very structure of my power. And the price must be absolute." Stanley took Anna deeper into the building's core, into a sealed, soundproof panic room. He needed her mind to access the trauma. Under the pressure of his unwavering attention, and realizing the hunt was now in race against the sunrise, Anna finally broke her decade-long silence. The truth spilled out. The ledger was given to her by Stanley's estranged half-brother. "It wasn't loyalty to you," she whispered, tears finally falling. "It was protection for him." This confession galvanized Stanley. The personal betrayal made the hunt for the silencers fiercely personal. He vowed, in a voice heavy with cold promise, that the man who broke Anna's mind would pay for both the intelligence breach and the history she had been forced to carry. Just after 3 a.m., Luca's voice announced success: the capture of the lead silencer, Corvus, and his 2 primary operatives. Stanley activated a live audio feed into the panic room. Anna listened, rigid in her seat, as Stanley confronted the captive. Corvus, shivering, tried to maintain professional detachment. "We didn't touch her body, P. Just the mind. It was surgical, clean." Stanley's voice was a terrifying symphony of judgment. He dismissed the man's defense: "You violated the internal sanctity of my operation. You took a woman who was carrying a burden you couldn't comprehend and you broke her will for a piece of paper." He delivered the final, inescapable order to Luca: "By dawn, I want every man connected to the silencers in this city, and every asset they touched, dismantled. Pay the price." The brutal silence that followed the climax was deeper than any Anna had known. By 5 a.m., the information was secured and the rival operations infrastructure in the city was gone. Stanley returned to the library, the first rays of dawn painting the polished marble a violent gold. He found Anna, sitting by the silent, empty console. He confessed to her his weakness, his reliance on the security and order she provided. "You have guarded my life's work for 10 years, he said. He offered her a choice, not a command: stay. Remain in the library, not as a shadow, but as an essential part of the structure. His protection, he vowed, would be absolute, covering her against any possible future repercussions. He offered her partnership, built on the mutual understanding of life and death secrecy. Anna accepted. The profound relief of sharing the burden was intoxicating. Stanley wasted no time. He promoted her to chief archivist and advisor, a title that came with access codes, a private office suite, and a bank account that ensured she would never have to be invisible for financial reasons again. The change was tectonic. She was no longer polishing surfaces, she was analyzing intelligence reports, using her meticulous archival skills to predict market shifts and anticipate threats. Her fear began to recede, replaced by a quiet, fierce sense of empowerment. Stanley trusted her with operational secrets. Her internal conflict, the decade-long struggle between her duty to the secret and her need for safety, was resolved through Stanley's ruthless protection. The partnership between Anna and Stanley solidified into an undeniable, dangerous intimacy. Stanley chose stability and security over reckless expansion, stating simply, "I only protect what I value." The city was quiet now, having paid the price for the silencer's audacity. Anna stood with Stanley in his office as the sun finally crested the horizon. She was no longer wearing the muted staff uniform, but a bespoke suit. "Are you still burdened?" he asked. "I am burdened by responsibility now, Stanley, not just by fear," she replied. She knew the relationship was complicated, dangerous, and predicated on ruthless power. But standing there, secured and finally seen by the most powerful man in the city, she realized she had found a profound kind of safety she never knew she needed. The quiet librarian had been forced to become a queen, and she accepted the crown.